everyone.
Hi, Abrina.
I know almost all of you, but for those who are new to this, I'm Abrina, and I understand that all of you are alums. So I recognize many names, and I also see many familiar faces and names of people that have already been through the Institute. So this is like a special reunion treat for me. They asked me to, we were invited to do a quick Collins happy hour. So I promise we will be in and out in a quick hour. We will be done hopefully by 6:50, 7:59, but I tell you what, we're gonna have fun in between. So I want to just touch base and welcome all of you and see where all of you are in the world and what you're doing really quickly. And then I thought we would do just a little piece of content because you can't come to BLI without a little content. And then I want to talk to you about our professional certificate program because we do it for alums. And we also are trying to experiment with how to better tap into the needs of alums and maybe make programming a little more condensed as well. And I'll sort of tell you about that towards the end. So, and we'll be able to answer questions as we go throughout, and then a little bit at the end as well. You know, we'll keep it lively, I promise. So I'm Abrina. I've been at Hollins Mercy since 2004, and the Batten Leadership Institute is known to many of you. We offer courses towards the certificate in leadership studies. It's a 20-hour certificate, and we teach all but 2 classes. The core classes that you went through, whether you went through the Institute when it was co-curricular or whether you went through it when it was credit bearing, it still has the same core. So it's progressive, systems focused classes focused on initially, how well do I know myself? Blind spots, self-awareness. How do I come to conflict and change and feedback? And how do I understand these concepts? And then the second level class, as many of you knew, was sort of a teams class. We've added on decision sciences, just like we have been teaching decision sciences in our executive programs for a long, long time. We thought it might be a value added course to bring to teams and decision making, because our teams class, at the undergrad level, they have to form an organization. They have to form a team to somehow benefit an underserved population. And those populations can be any type of humans, any human population dealing with whatever issues, to animals are very popular, the environment, whatever they wish to do in small teams. They use the project as a vehicle for understanding decision making and team functioning. So as many of you might remember, if your project fails, you still learn an awful lot, perhaps more than if everything came smoothly, right? So our job is to call people on process and team functioning, not just checking the box, did you do your project and meet your metrics? So time and again, people say that's maybe one of the harder classes in BLI, because you've got to actually work with these people. So you took your self-awareness and now you're giving and receiving feedback laterally. And then the senior capstone class is what it has been, which is supervision and mentoring of students in both the introduction class of feedback, conflict and change, as well as the teams who request a mentor while they're designing and implementing their project in the course of a semester. So some of them really could use some guidance on, you know, we want to do this event on campus. Well, who do we need to talk to? All of you know they need to talk to HAB and the special events people and like half a dozen other people for approval. When you're in your second semester, first year, or your sophomore year, you may not know all those things. So getting some guidance as well as how they're functioning and having some type of peer mentor is very, very helpful. Capstone students still videotape themselves giving feedback. And the crux of that class is supervision of how they are mentoring. And as you know, they prepare a clip of themselves actually in a challenging moment, not just in a moment where they're glowing. right? So, and then the class is built on, we see you attending to this, what's going on over here? Or this is mentoring. So it's not as much about supervision as it is about how you actually are connecting with another human being and demonstrating your capacity to come alongside them without acting like you're their teacher and you know everything, right? And so I think the initial tendency is to skew to competency. Remember, some of you might have thought, oh, I'm supposed to have all the answers right away, when really you're supposed to be able to pull back and ask thoughtful questions and figure out how to connect based on what they want their goal to be. So the capstone class, there's 2 semesters of it, because the way you supervise one semester hopefully refines when you come back the next semester and do it. We have added on an alternate path, which could be preparation and submission of a paper for publication. If you want to go to grad school and you've already had a mentoring experience, maybe you would like to write a paper, and your audience can be really diverse. It doesn't have to be an academic peer-reviewed journal. If you want to try to publish something in the New Yorker, in Forbes, I had a student submit to a Buddhist magazine. The audience actually must matter deeply to you, and the topic must matter to you. So, and we build in a leadership concept or 2 that makes sense. And as you know us, somehow it usually ends up being something about teams or adaptive leadership, right? The theory, which goes back again to the core systems focus. So that's where we are with the undergrad program. We remain pretty popular. On average, we have about 22 students in our capstone classes, and we keep up enrollments. We stay very busy. Any student who wants this certificate, for those of you who aren't familiar with BLI, we make sure that they have an opportunity to get it. So if they have course conflicts in their senior year, then I teach independent study sections. We're not going to let your last year be the thing that keeps you out and away from the certificate. We'll find a way to make it work. We're asked to do lots of other independent studies. We occasionally teach grad classes, and we continue to have a very busy professional development program. So that's sort of the intro about how Batten is doing. Batten is doing very, very well, and we're so grateful to have our students and our alums to be able to stay in touch. We have an active Facebook page, and I think we're in touch with about 85% of our alums. And there's over a couple hundred of you out there. So we're so excited about it. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer those, or you might want to save some of that for the end. I would love to hear from people who I recognize almost all the names, and I could not be more excited. I didn't anticipate being this excited. I thought we're going to do an alum and advancement. And it just didn't even occur to me that I would see all these familiar faces and feel the Hollins alum energy. That's very exciting. It's so much different than speaking to a group of strangers. So welcome. Let's see. How do we want to do this? I can call on you if you want and just catch us all up based on where you're positioned on my screen. That might be most efficient. Katie Asap, you are right on the top of my screen. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Last I heard, you were doing PBS. What are you doing in the world?
I'm still at PBS. I work for the children's programming department. So basically I watch a lot of cartoons, awesome. Which is a lot of fun. And I'm in Washington, DC. And just so happy to see you all. Batten, I think I feel like Batten was directly responsible for my getting a job at PBS. So very grateful to.
It was your big ask assignment.
It was my senior year. My task was to find somebody at PBS to hire me. So it worked out.
That's amazing. Hey, good to catch up. Lydia. Hi, Lydia. Are you in New Orleans? Where are you in the world?
Hey, guys.
Alabama?
I am actually in Montgomery, Alabama, so way less fun than New Orleans. And I am a dyslexia interventionist. I actually just opened my own clinic after having worked for 5 years at another one and opening a new office. But anyway, it's a big, long story, but I have finally, like, I don't know if y'all remember, but like that was my big thing. That's what I wanted. So that's where we are. I apologize if you can hear my dog snorting. She's an English bulldog, and so she's not quiet. So that's kind of, sorry.
No, I might want to see her. I don't know. That's great. Look. Hey.
Oh, Maggie. Sorry, my house is kind of a mess. There's Maggie.
We don't care. Yay.
Yeah, thank you.
Hi, Maggie.
So that's my big addition. Is a little puppy who's not really little. She's like 4 years old. But yeah, so that's what's going on with me. Batten, Maggie, sorry guys. Batten has really influenced me. Actually, Abrina, you'll be happy to hear that to join the team, the management team, sorry, I'm putting her in her crate, you have to read Leadership on the Line and review it with me. So we do weekly sessions with our management team to talk about our communications and how we get and give feedback, and it's all big fun. So that's kind of what's happening here.
I'm delighted. Congratulations on your clinic too.
Yay. Yeah, we actually
on the line. That's still our core theory everywhere.
Yeah, it's been really fun. Everyone's responded really well to it. So lots and lots of positive feedback. So kudos to you on that. And thanks for the congrats. We actually officially launch next week, so I'm really excited.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
You should send it out to the alum office and to BLI. Will blast it on our Facebook. Share it on.
Cool. Well, I will certainly send it to you.
So good. Thrilled with you. Oh, Emily Wood, you're next.
Hi, everyone. I am living in Connecticut. I am the youngest director at a really large wealth management firm here in Farmington. So I serve as their director of financial planning, where I apply all kinds of BLI techniques, both to teammates and clients and COIs, et cetera. And I also spend a lot of time at a hockey rink and what else? And have taken on some leadership positions with a nonprofit here locally called Advancing Connecticut Together, which focuses on addressing health disparities and financial disparities throughout Connecticut.
Wow, that's amazing. And you negotiated at least one of your positions.
Oh, I've negotiated quite a bit. Yes, quite a bit. It's served me really well. I think it's been remarkable to see how my compensation, but also work-life balance and opportunities for influence have definitely shifted as a result of being comfortable, getting uncomfortable in negotiating.
Very nice. So glad to hear you're doing well. Oh, curious about the hockey. Do you play or you just have friends who do?
I have a 17 and 15-year-old stepson and daughter. Both of them, yes, both of them play hockey. My fiance also coaches, so I've turned into this Southern gal who didn't know the first thing about hockey to spending a ton of time as the pseudo hockey mom.
So fun. That's
very
amazing.
Fun.
I'm thrilled for you.
Thank you.
That's awesome. Janet Nicholson. Are you there? That's okay. We'll skip right over. Annette Poland, it's been a while since I've seen your name. You're a big community leader. Welcome. Do you hear us? Okay. I'm going to skip over. We can come back. Oh, there you are. Hi.
Turn my video on. I'm on this call to find out more about the Batten Institute. When I graduated from Hollins, I mean, we had Hollins abroad. It was Paris. That was it.
That's right.
That was sort of it. Hollins is a very, very different place today. It was great. my class at Hollins has produced a lot of writers. I'm a portrait painter, and I've done, knock on wood, very well. I live in Washington. Katie, are you in Washington? Did you say?
I am, yeah. I just moved outside the district, so I'm in Arlington now. But
Oh, well, my daughter lives in Arlington. I live in Northwest.
nice.
All
Yeah,
of,
I lived in Columbia Heights up until October.
oh, well, that's not that far.
No.
Anyhow, I'm just so impressed that so many of you are thriving in so many different directions. That's sort of emphasizes my belief in a liberal arts education in general.
I agree.
Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome. Let's see, Caitlin Hall. Do you hear?
Hello.
Hello, welcome. It's been a couple
So
years.
I know I'm currently at the gym, so please ignore
That's
all
okay.
of this.
I'm
Let me
jealous.
stop
That's
this.
great.
Yeah, I do not negotiate on my gym time.
Good.
So yeah, so everything's going pretty well. I work for the FDIC. I'm a financial institution specialist, basically a fancy bank examiner. I live in Knoxville, Tennessee, so doing pretty good. Tomorrow is the 1-year anniversary of mandatory telework. So I'm celebrating by, going to the gym. I have a really great routine down. I've learned to deal with and negotiate how my work-life balance and how I want my schedule to look like. And it's been really good for me. It's been a difficult process because the FDIC does not like no, but I've learned to deal. And so as my supervisor, we have a really great relationship. So yeah, feeling pretty good. Enjoying life. Just bought a car, about to buy a house.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
And you had that job before you graduated, didn't you?
I did. Yep. I interviewed the weekend after graduation. And they already had given me a soft yes. And then when I left the interview weekend, it was a firm yes.
Firm. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's pretty great. Yeah.
Let's see. Jane Goodrum. Jana, I haven't had the pleasure. That's okay. We can jump around. Janet Nicholson, I have you twice on my screen. Are you present and can you hear us?
Yes.
Hi, welcome.
Hi, thank you.
What class were you part of?
1969.
That's marvelous, marvelous. And are you
Probably the oldest person on the call.
No, I was 1967.
Janet, were you familiar with the Batten Leadership Institute before? Oh, I think we're having audio struggles. Welcome, we're so glad you're here. Let's see, on my screen, Rosalind Wright. Are you able to hear? If not, it's okay. We can pop back.
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, welcome. Hi.
How you doing?
Good. What class are you?
97.
97. All right. So you graduated before we were around. Had you heard of BLI before?
After I graduated, yeah.
Yeah, that's all right. Oh, we're so glad you've come to join the call tonight.
Yeah, I want to know more about it. I did try to do a couple seminars here and there, being part of the alumni chapter in Richmond, but
Okay, welcome. Good.
right,
Let's
thank
see,
you.
Stephanie. Stephanie, welcome.
Yes, hi. So I actually am a graduate of the MALS program and graduated from that program in 2016. And so was introduced, I had a concentration in leadership. So was introduced to BLI through that experience, and live here in Roanoke Valley and serve as the Senior Director of Program Services for Goodwill Industries of the Valleys, a local nonprofit here in our community. And want to learn more. BLI was very intriguing to me and had a lot of influence when I was in the MALS program, and want to come back and explore further, and definitely see it as an asset to my professional development in the coming year. So I'm excited to learn more.
That's fantastic. Welcome. So glad to see you again.
Thank you. Nice to see you as well.
Patricia. Hi, welcome.
Hi. Well, I'm so glad to meet you, Abrina, and to see this incredibly impressive array of alumna. I am class of 68. I remember Annette Poland. Annette, my name is Patricia Thrower. I was a year behind you. And so, of course, I did not go through BLI. I'm a new member of the board, and I keep hearing about BLI, have been hearing about it, and I have never understood what it's all about. So when this popped up, I thought, well, this would be a good way for me to learn a little bit about it. And this is really fun. I'm enjoying it. I live in Atlanta. I'm a lawyer. So I'm glad to see everybody.
So glad you're here. Thank you for coming. Krista, welcome.
Hello.
Hi.
I am class of 2015 with Lydia. I am currently living in Orlando, Florida. I work for Walgreens as a workforce management analyst, which just is a fancy title for I make sure that we have the right people at the right time to take the calls that Walgreens gets. It's kind of the basic way to explain it. It's a very weird job. I don't know how to explain it.
Sounds important though. You're taking care of customers and needs.
Exactly. You know, we try to make sure we have enough staff to make sure all the calls get taken. I have had a really rocky journey. I've been at this position. I started as a mentee in this position about 2 years ago. And then I've been as a full-time employee about 1.5 years. But I had a really rocky first few years after college. I had wanted to be an editor for a publishing company. That ended up not happening. I wrote for some magazines for a while, but nothing ever came to fruition. And I was working some wage jobs, happened to get a data entry job at Walgreens, and then got that mentorship in this program. And this has let me flourish into this career. And so I haven't had a whole lot of opportunity to apply my BLI skills yet. And so that's why I want to really, I re-downloaded my one of my ebooks that we used. And so I'm going to start reading them and get back into that. And so I can really reabsorb myself into that. I did just buy a condo back in October. So that's a major life event for me that I'm excited about. And I had ankle surgery in December. So been a up and downs of the last few years.
And such is life. That sounds like you persevered and you're doing really well now.
Thank you.
We're so proud of you. I'm thrilled you came. Katie Alamon, great to see you too.
Hi.
Hi.
I've got a little piece of BLI in my little office. So I am class of 2011. So I went through BLI, and that was actually why I chose to go to Hollins, or one of the reasons, but that was one of the main reasons. And Kayla just messaged me and reminded me that, oh my gosh, it was like 10 years ago, I found out senior year that I got into Teach for America and tackled her in the computer lab because I was so excited. So I've been out here in LA for 10 years now, which I can't believe. So I'm right outside of Pasadena is where I've kind of ended up over the past few years. So I'm the professional development supervisor for a charter school network. So we're actually, the branch that I'm in works with schools in 5 other states outside of California. So luckily I was kind of used to the distance piece since I don't get to see my team that often with the schools. So we just made that shift virtually. But I do a lot of the pieces with feedback, and I'm pulling constantly from those skills that we learned. And actually am working on designing, we're working on a mentorship program with our Chicago school. So I'm working with assistant principals and principals and how to develop our pipeline and create really strong leaders. So that's something that I've been tasked with, and potentially overseeing our principal fellowship down the line. So that's been a really exciting project that's coming out, and still love all the books from our sessions that I utilize. So it's been really fun. It's been like an extension of everything that I learned, and getting facilitate trainings and learnings at work, and then also in junior league. So I'm executive vice president of the junior league in Pasadena. So I've been learning how to serve on a board and kind of working with the local community, which I love, which also feels like an extension of Hollins. So it's been really great. And then joined the Tournament of Roses. So I'm one of the people at the parade when it happens in the white suit, staying up all night, helping everyone. So it's been really fun, and like really finding my community out here, which has been great. So
fantastic. So good to hear from you. What a full, wonderful life that lives that you all have. Fantastic. Catherine Carter, great to see you again. It's been quite some time, it feels like.
It's been too long. I have to run, but I'll give my spiel really, really quick. So I am in the class of 2007, and I live in Silver Spring, Maryland. I have been in special education for 14 years, and I have a wedding and event planning business that'll be 3 years old this year. And I'm hoping to start a second business based on my 14 years experience in special ed. So I just wanted to come on and say thank you, Abrina, for my BLI experience. It was great. I did not leave Hollins with a job, but I learned so many skills that I could put into my life. And I think it's led me to where I am today. And I look forward to connecting with more alum in the future. And Abrina, we have to connect.
Yeah, I love it. Definitely.
I gotta run, but thank you so much.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Kayla Thorne. Hi, Kayla.
Hello. I'm Kayla Thorne. I'm class of 2011, right along with Katie. And I am a PhD candidate at Penn State studying youth and community development. And I am currently teaching a leadership class. So I utilize quite a bit of our leadership skills from Batten. Much like Katie, I think Batten was one of the tipping points for Hollins for me. And many of the experiences within there when, oh, she just went away. Whoever was just speaking was talking about, I left Hollins with the job, but it was the job as a raft guide. And that and a series of fun, wild twist and turn jobs have led me rather nicely to where I am now, where I'll hopefully have my final degree this summer. But I think many of the skills that we learned at Batten they're life skills. And so they've been applied in every twist and turn that I've been on.
So good to see you. Congratulations.
Thanks.
Sunny Green. Hi.
Hello. I miss you guys so much. I miss being able to just.
It hasn't been that long for
I know.
you.
I know. That is very true. So hi, my name is Sunny Green. I am in the class of 2019. So really not that long, but I absolutely missed Abrina, and I miss being able to just stop in her office for advice or just to talk, honestly. And I'm currently living in Bethesda, Maryland, sort of DC as well. So post-COVID, I'd love to connect with all the Batten alums. That's something I miss a great deal. I'm currently a post-bac fellow in my second year at the National Institutes of Health as part of the National Human Genome Research Institute, or NHGRI for short, because that is a mouthful. I'm currently studying rare genetic diseases as I am applying to MD PhD programs, hoping to matriculate in the summer of 2022, and hope to be a leader in the scientific community. And Batten is going to be one of the kind of centerpiece items to my applications, because MD PhD programs emphasize a focus in leadership, and that Batten again was like one of the things that drew me to Hollins, and that I absolutely found my own voice there. So and through Batten. So that's where I'm at, and hopefully grad school soon.
Grad school soon. Welcome, welcome back. I'm so pleased everyone's doing so well. In the interest of time, let's do a piece of content, shall we? And because we're nothing if not continuous learners, we hope. And then I will talk to you for a quick second, if I may, about our professional certificate program, and we will figure out how we're going to connect in the future. How wonderful. All right, let's see what we can do here. I think my toolbar, can everyone see my screen? Which would be great. My toolbar is preventing me from, my Zoom
Yes,
toolbar is preventing me from being able to create the big full slideshow, but that's okay, we can go through it. So within the Batten Leadership Institute, one of the things that we really focus on is being able to get on the balcony and pull back, and with a systems lens, looking at ourself as our first system, and then whatever room we happen to have entered. That's a system as well, whether we're talking about a boardroom or our family dinner table or our team meeting. A system is a system, and figuring out how to actually see what you're looking at and making conflictual interpretations and being able to be curious and connecting and staying really humble and teachable, just like we've heard time and again from our wonderful participants tonight. That, I think our core theory is really full of compassion and respect in the way that it allows us to get out of this narrow frame with which it would be so easy and also pretty lazy to see the world, right? With the short-term emotion based on maybe how they've treated us. Our theory and our approach, as you know, calls us to be able to see the bigger, broader picture, understand ourselves, our family systems, our professional systems. In our professional program, we go a little bit deeper into people's family systems in individual consultation as well as with the group. We don't do that quite as much unless a student wants to fishbowl a particular scenario, right? And fishbowl, for those who are not familiar with BLI, is sort of how we simulate conflict. We do a two-party simulation. Somebody has an actual conflict and they pick somebody to be the other side, and they work the model, and we try to surround them, whether we're on Zoom or whether we're in a room, literally wrap around and create a circle and kind of buzz in whenever they're saying something that's not going to be working. And we interrupt them real time and give them feedback. So we want to help them see blind spots and patterns, because the only person we cannot see is ourselves. And there's not much new under the sun for BLI. It's just that sometimes it really helps to have a refresher. So part of our core theory is that leaders observe, we make interpretations, and then we figure out, of all that we could possibly do, what's an intervention? What kind of action would be best to try to facilitate change here? Because when we're talking about leadership, we must mean that something is going to be needing to change. It's not management. We're not just operating according to the current standard. Leadership is going to have to shift something for better functioning for the future. And therefore, if you're in the business of leadership, our Batten alums know that you're in the business of distributing loss. And our subcontext of that, for everybody who said, oh yeah, they have their teams read leadership on the line, I've got 2 copies on my shelf, because that's still our core theory, is that leadership is about disappointing your own people at a rate that they can bear. And sometimes we're the first person that needs to get disappointed in that formula, right? Sometimes we need to renegotiate some loyalty we've held or something we've hung on to that actually is no longer serving us. And in order to make space for a different kind of intervention, to get a little closer to what our goal is, and what might be better for all. Jim Clausen, he was at Darden. He wrote Level 3 Leadership. And we've gone over this in many of our classes. He talks about leadership is about energy, right? First managing energy in yourself and then in others. And so as we look at rooms, when we're observing and making interpretation about our systems, where's the energy level of people, right? It might be a continuum. Are they truly engaged? Like he would talk about that, right? Are they passionately engaged, or are they actively engaged? And that's fantastic. We would love people to at least be in the active engagement situation where they're bringing their most creative thoughts. They really want to be value added to your teams, to your organization. Lower down on the continuum, you get people who are they'll clock in and they'll do their tasks. They'll do just what they were asked to do. It's sort of compliance and agreement, and and they're curious and they're willing to go along, but they're not going the extra mile at that point. Their energy isn't fully there. So just feeling out where in your team, where's the energy here? Apathy. I mean, they'll clock in, clock out, or they'll show up and do kind of what they're hired to do, maybe per the job description. Their energy and engagement isn't present. And I think we all can sense that from people after a period of time. And potentially, if an organization has been through something, or if it's a family system, if they've really been through something, maybe they're really burned out. What do they need to do to recapture their energy, or to tend to their well-being, or to figure out what's important and where's the purpose and how do we re-engage here? And then lowest on the continuum for energy is active resistors. I mean, they are not pleased with leadership, with the decisions, with the change, and they are willing to somehow divert, distract. Like we have part of our theory, right? The MADS, the Faces of Danger and Leadership on the Line. It's chapter 2. When people resist change, they do it in singularly or in delicious combination of really human, sort of predictable ways. They marginalize, attack, divert, or seduce, don't they? And that's just them being human. The more we understand that about how people are just trying to resist losing something, right? They just don't want another thing to change. The more that when they come to us and they've got that active resistance going on, then as leaders in our life, leaders in our relationship, in our families, leaders at work, the more able we are to meet that with some kind of understanding and be able to see it for what it is and explore that with them instead of getting hooked in and defensive. And I think just that one simple little tip is a very helpful reminder so that we don't get diverted ourselves and decide that it means that they're attacking us. They're just trying to resist loss, right? So in Batten, at the executive level and the undergrad level, we always pay attention to the pacing of conversations, to the temperature of things, to the difficulty of change being equivalent to loss, how to navigate conflict respectfully and responsibly, and how to make decisions. To that end, we play around with decision making, right? And that now we've inserted it at the undergraduate level. We've had it at the professional level. And so we really want to look at decisions in a different way than sort of, should I do this or that, or up or down, right? We approach decision making with several different models, and the easy lay friendly book that we always include is Decisive, both for the executives and the undergrads, because it's sticky with the memory. It's easy to remember. So there's a few things that I wanted to overlay just very quickly to breeze through. When decisions require change, somebody's going to struggle with that, right? So expect conflict. Well, when there's conflict, I like to talk about trust these days. And you all have been out in the world for a while. You understand what trust issues feel like. Yeah. And Ron Ferguson, most of you have been out long enough to have missed out on the literature from Ron Ferguson at Harvard. And he did some amazing work on, at the core of adaptive, underneath adaptive is group relations. So that was studied back in World War II. How do you study systems, literally soldiers under stress? A systems theory is a systems theory, and there's nothing new under the sun. But what Ferguson has done, I think, is groundbreaking and fascinating. He breaks that Lencioni 5 dysfunctions of a team trust model that we use. And he really, Lencioni says, if you don't have trust, you will fear conflict and people won't have the hard conversations. Well, those are just the first 2 components of our trust, of our team model. But Ferguson breaks it down further. I mean, when you suspect like this trust issue, he says, well, what are you upset about, right? Are they not competent to do it? Do they not have the skills or the resources? Is it a collegiality issue, right? Where can I trust that you want the best for me? You believe the best in me. And when I walk out of the room, you're not going to talk behind my back, right? You're not gonna go to some other committee. You're not going to skip over me and go to my supervisor. Like that collegiality piece is huge. The performance piece, I mean, yeah, we understand that, right? The motivations, have we checked? Are we still going to go in the same direction that we said was where we set our goal? Or did someone veer off and they were, hesitant to tell us? And so there's different levels that he breaks it down. But what he does that's so beautiful, he says, we all signal up. He talks about signaling and trust and group relations and acceptance. He says we all signal up from, think about how kids dress in high school, right? How we show up in a space, how we talk, how we look, how we try to fit in and make ourselves acceptable in a space. We signal that. Everything from the dinner table to, again, a professional environment, and our systems signal back acceptance or rejection. So I think it's so important for your teams. If you've got a new team member, how are people signaling back to that person in terms of inclusion, right? And acceptance. What does that mean for how you show up and your friends? Are you really making space, or do they have to do X, Y, or Z before you're willing to authorize them? Which is, I know, a term that Batten alums are really familiar with. What does it take for you to authorize someone? Or what happens when you de-authorize, because that's a rejection in the signaling. So these are things that I think impact systems and trust. And trust, is a loss of trust is an amygdala activation. So it's not just a bad mood. It literally activates your fight or flight when you've had a violation of trust. These are just some quick concepts that we study in decision making at both the undergraduate and the executive level, that we all have biases. There are pitfalls and narrow framing, like, should I do this or that? And you can only see those two. Well, how do we build in more of an and? How can you get this and that? Sunk cost trap, you've done it so long. Look how much you've invested. Certainly, if you just hang on a little bit longer, boy, we've all fallen prey to the seduction of that. Confirmation bias, bounded awareness, that little acronym. This comes from Max Bazerman at Harvard, sort of, do you really make your decisions on what you see as all there is? Like the data before you get really seduced into what you've got, and you forget to ask, what don't I have that I need that might make this decision hinge on something different? The bottom there, 10, 10, 10. Boy, that's Susie Welch. She has gotten more mileage from our alums with that one little phrase. That's so easy. What does this decision look like? What's the consequence of this if I make this decision in 10 minutes, 10 months, or 10 years? And you pick the one that's most relevant for you, and you go with that one, right? It might be short term. It might be very difficult and uncomfortable in the first 10 minutes or 10 months, but boy, if you can hang in there and hold steady, in 10 years, it'll pay off, or vice versa. It might not matter in 10 years. So what's the decision need to be in the first 10 minutes? And you can see, I don't need to read the sort of slide to you, but these are things that we look at in terms of decision making. One of my favorites, what would need to be true for this option to be the best choice? That comes from a couple of decision making models and from a steel company guy, and they had very different factions. So when people are on truly opposing sides, and they each believe that their path is the right one, how do you get them to consider the other side and not just decide that the other should be a casualty? Well, you make everybody look at the same avenue as if their decision is the right one, and then they have to try on the other one. So now they're working side by side instead of at odds with one another, right? Each taking the other person's side as if it was truly the best choice, and then working through all the elements, and they do both of them together. And that's a really nice way to bridge factions. The EQ of decision making, the emotional intelligence of things. Here's a quick little one. The execs like it. I threw it out to Lauren. She liked it. Don't decide when you're sitting. Sort of the quote is around, if you've been just sitting and struggling and focusing and trying to concentrate for a long time, you better get up and move before you make your decision, because the blood is pooling. They call it in your feet and your seat. And that is not where you need the oxygen, right? So you've got to get up. And then just the process of making decisions, that sort of taxes your brain. Hallowell talks about every 60 to 90 minutes in overloaded circuits. That's an open access article. So every 60 to 90 minutes, take a break, get up, walk, get some air, chew something, chew gum, do some protein, a few nuts if you're not allergic, phone a friend, text, chat, reach out to a colleague, somebody that you have some kind of warm collegiality, some sense of friendship or feelings with, because that's going to give you a little oxytocin boost. And that can also help your sensation about well-being. And really collectively, it re-energizes and reinvigorates so that you can more passionately and actively re-engage your energy and make a higher quality decision. It also, trust, it deactivates your amygdala. When you feed your brain, anybody get like hangry when you haven't eaten, right? Or when you've been focusing too hard and you're just worn out. You need to be able to deactivate your amygdala and tap into these little pleasure principles so that you can regain your purpose and not get overwhelmed and caught up in a wave of chaos and feel like you're drowning in too much work, right? Batten, if nothing else, we believe in being able to take a few concepts and teach them deeply instead of try to cover 20 things in the program. I think the same handful of progressive systems learning is really helpful to truly understanding who you are, how you enter a space, what your goals might be within that, and then have time over 3 years to integrate that. And so we don't try to teach every class as completely different. The same concepts come back again and again, and that's why they take hold and sustain themselves. So here's the belonging and trust stuff that we kind of talked about. Belonging and trust, also trust is so huge. Rozovsky, that was a big Google study. Google thought, we can have enough smart people on a team. They thought maybe the smartest teams would win. What they found out across these measures, we see collegiality, dependability, structure, and clarity. They thought structure and clarity would really do it, or meaning and purpose would really do it, because it was smart work they were trying to do with the technology. But far and away, what they learned was psychological safety. Do they feel trust and psychological safety on their team? Are people approachable? Do they want the best? Do they feel like they can relax? Because if you can't, your creativity is completely inhibited, right? And you are naturally on edge. because you know that people aren't thinking the best for you or of you. 5 dysfunctions of a team, that's our core team model, right? So we understand what that looks like. That also is revisited at the executive level. How we deal with conflict. Gosh, conflict is so important, right? Because if you're going to live a life, you're going to have some of it. And we want to embrace conflict. It's not, we just don't want it to be toxic. So we want to embrace that conflict is diversity of opinions and thoughts and ideas. And we are better to the extent that we know we're not so fragile that we can't have someone disagree with us. We also don't need to over personalize it. So we look at people's pace and temperature, and we want to protect their messages, even if they're uncomfortable for us. So we audition, we want to practice auditioning new ideas. And it's important at whatever age and level of professionalism you are, and even when you're no longer in the workforce, how you deal with issues about control, like how relaxed can you be with ambiguity, with conflictual interpretation, being able to practice. We're a great place to practice at all levels. Listening, gosh, we're all better humans, better employees, better partners, you know, better parents and friends on days when we happen to be fully engaged and be able to come alongside and listen in order to be influenced, listening in order to be altered, in order to learn something new, in order to listen to their loss, not just listen for a loophole, right? And if you've spent time in Batten, you know that this is a key, just reminder and refresher. Let's see, Batten Executive Education. We've been doing it for a long time, since 2005. We do 10 sessions as a full cohort, and we are looking at, for our fall, we offer fall and spring cohorts, an all women's and a co-ed. And we are looking at making them more digestible, more manageable, and breaking them into Batten Foundation Part 1 for 5 sessions and Batten Level Part 2. We enroll March through May for the fall cohort, Batten Foundation 1, or the full 10 session that usually comes with assessments. Let's see, let me stop share this because this doesn't want me to just jump right to it. And then I'll just share our screen with our other page if I can. Well, it would help if I did it. I don't know if you've had a chance to go to our website for BLI at all. There it is. Let's try it now. All our students, I think, are much, much faster at toggling between screens. Okay, do you see this? Can you see the screen? All right. All right. The program highlights are the assessments, the goal setting. With the assessments, there's always, before the programs start, we usually spend a couple of months, like the whole summer, allowing people to get the assessments under their belts, because there's usually a couple of 360 assessments. So you rate yourself and then other people rate you as well. So they're just sort of some standard leadership assessments, but I do one specifically on conflict as well. And then I meet with people one-on-one as a consult for about an hour. We set a goal, and it may or may not come from feedback they've gotten, things that came out in their results. Sometimes the results are no surprise, other times they're quite surprising. And so when they come to group, they've got a process group goal to share. And in that sharing session, everybody can ask them. There are no holds barred. Any question is up for grabs. So then, but there are what and how questions in the goal sharing process, where no one is allowed to fix you or start making suggestions. If it's an adaptive challenge, it took you a while to develop that issue. And if you could have fixed it with a technical fix, you'd have done that a long time ago. So we need to get a better understanding about what's going on underneath the goal and where in your life it's impacting you and others. We work on managing conflict and change. We do some neuro leadership. And a little bit of that is in sort of like the decision EQ stuff that we just now touched on, which was fun. Team functioning. That's typically 5 dysfunctions of a team with some other teams models. And we pull in teams and decision making together. The feedback, we do thanks for the feedback. If you're looking for an easy, fun, good read, some diversity, some culture building, we use shines, things in that. There's a mentorship component. You must be a mentor and find a mentor for at least 3 sessions. And we want to elevate leadership for women and for other people. But we always need to be teaching and be teachable and have big asks ongoing throughout our lives around things we want to grow in ourselves. And then individual coaching and consultation. The really nice thing about Batten, so here are the dates as they have been this year. It follows a similar trajectory. It goes August through December and then January to May. And if we had enough alum interest, for sure, if something wonderful happened and we could have so much interest, we've had waiting lists before that we had to offer summer sessions. We're very interested in doing that too. And there's special alum pricing for people who, may need scholarships or may want to investigate pricing for their teams. So we're going to be willing, because of this event, to do something a little bit special, very special for our alums, and something also special, not quite as special, for your referrals as well, if you wanted to do that. So if you are interested in scholarships, the full price tends to be $3,800 for the full 10 session. Obviously, that price will go down when we break it down and do the condensed 5 and 5, if that's prohibitive. And then we'll have the special alum, the alum scholarships. If those people need it, then feel free to contact me. That's what I've been allowed to do. So I'm pretty excited about that too. I think I didn't allow too much time for questions. I've talked and talked and talked. Is there any burning question that anyone wants to throw out? I promise I'll try to answer it in like 60 seconds.
I'm assuming that they would be virtual, especially with how everything is, and because when I've looked before, it was all like in person.
It used to be all in person. I ran 2 years of cohorts where it was hybrid. So we've had a couple of people from like Princeton Theological Seminary and like Zoom in. So we've done the hybrid models right now. Because of COVID, it's all Zoom, which is wonderful for us because we think it would be terrific to be able to just break down all geographic boundaries. It's not asynchronous. You still need to show up, right? But you could show up wherever you have internet access in the world, for sure. Mm-hmm. And once in Batten, always in Batten. So if you need ongoing coaching and consultation, I've had 3 people sit back through the program when they've changed jobs or gotten promoted. You sit back, I don't give you a new set of books or do the assessments, but you sit back for free. And I've had 3 people do that, and it's wonderful. You can't just come back for the sessions that you want to. If you commit, you're there for the cohort, and they understand that and they still do it. And I think it makes us really distinctive, that they know that once you're in Batten, just like all of you. So it'd be wonderful even to have coaching, consultation, fishbowl opportunities for our alums. We've done that a little bit before. If alums have an appetite to do it, we could occasionally schedule a Zoom 45-minute lunch and do case consultation fishbowls. So that's fun too.
I have a really simple question.
Yes.
How do students become Batten students?
We're a class like any other class. Nope. No, we just take, you start with BLI 210. Now that used to be 101. So there's just 3 core levels in Batten. We just are elective classes. So 5 classes equal a certificate. Nothing.
Any Holland student can be a Batten student.
Yes, we would love it.
Wow, that's incredible. Do you ever have too many? I mean, do you have a limit on the number of students?
I had one class that got up to 40, and I teach 2 sections now to try to avoid that in the fall.
And are there other faculty or?
It's me.
Do you want other faculty?
There will be other faculty again. Yeah. And I see like a sea of alums from the program that would all be great faculty back in Hollins. So thank you so much, everybody. I've had the best time.
Hey, one quick question. You may have mentioned it. How big does a cohort have to be?
Oh, you know, I think a cohort works really well if it's at least 7 or 8. I don't want to do it lower than that, because if 1 or 2 have to be out, then the dynamic is just harder, you know. But
makes sense.
Beyond that, I've gone up to 16 as our top number. It's got to be small enough that people can't hide, right, Lydia?
Oh yeah, there's no hiding in Batten.
No, we don't allow that. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thanks.
Amazing.
Thank you, Abrina. This has been wonderful. Thank you.
Thanks.
Email.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Where should we email if we're interested, Abrina?
Schnurman@hollins.edu.
Great.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.